Hey guys, it's ExandShadow, and welcome to my newest Let's Play, Trauma Center, New Blood. This is actually one of my favorite Wii games, and actually one of my favorite game series, actually. Trauma Center in general just seems to be a series that people know about, but never really talk about. I mean, it's got its fans, but it's a cult series that doesn't really have the same sort of passionate following that, say, like the Ace Attorney series does. And even within the fan base, New Blood gets almost no attention. I mean, seriously, go on to DeviantArt and look at how much fan art Second Opinion and Trauma Team has gotten as opposed to New Blood. It's kind of sad, actually, considering that New Blood is tied for my favorite game in the entire series. I think it's about equal to Trauma Team. New Blood does some things better than Trauma Team. Trauma Team does some things better than New Blood. In the end, they sort of even out to being about equal in my eyes. But I really do love this game, and I think it's one of the most underrated gems in the Wii's library. So, if you haven't picked it up yet, I recommend doing so. Yeah, if you are unfamiliar with the Trauma Center series, well, it's a surgery simulation game. Well, actually, I shouldn't say simulation, because if a doctor was actually performing surgery like this, I would be scared for my life. But, basically what you do is you play through surgeries in a sort of arcade style. It's sort of hard to explain, but you try to set up combos and get a high score. It's very fast. It's a very fast-paced sort of style of gameplay that I very enjoy. And the operations that you perform are sort of interspersed with very, very, very cheesy moments of dialogue that I love, because I love cheesy dialogue. Anyway, as in Second Opinion, we've got easy, normal, and hard mode, because, you know, having difficulty options is nice. I'm going to be playing on normal because playing on hard is suicide. Yeah, it's an Atlas game, so you should know what to expect if you've played any of the Shin Megami Tensei games or whatever. Anyway, this game has lots of cutscenes, so I'm going to stretch my riff tracing muscles a little bit here. So, anyway, here we go.
Alaska, the frigid northern extremity of America. Come April, the harsh winter begins to loosen its grip on the land. The seemingly endless nights grow shorter, day by day.
And the sun begins to rise high enough that you can see Russia from your house. Because that joke hasn't been done to death nearly enough already.
Inhabitants eagerly await the arrival of spring.
It's springtime for Alaska. Doesn't nearly work as well.
By the jaws of fate.
Dun dun dun. Anyway, yeah, well, that cutscene was rather, you know, short and unintrusive. They get pretty long later on in the game. Like, you'll get to points where you'll get 10-15 minutes of cutscene in, like, a 3-minute operation. It gets ridiculous at points. Anyway, if you are unfamiliar with the game, the operation pointers, operations are right there, which you can check out. But since I already know how to play, I'll just explain to you in the first operation, which holds your hand pretty well anyway. So, yeah.
Patient's a 40-year-old male. He has a gash on his chest and he's losing blood fast.
Oh, gash on his chest is bleeding? You don't say.
The tour guide's warning and picked a fight with a grizzly.
Man versus bear. Man, bear. 5 foot whatever, 8 foot whatever. Claws, no claws. Fur, a coat? Yeah, I don't see how this happens. Why would anyone ever pick a fight with a bear? You won't lose. That's like an ant trying to pick a fight with a ant eater.
Have Eric make a quick trip to the blood center. Now what about the x-rays?
Fancy doctor talk. Anyway, these are our main characters, Marcus and Valerie. Marcus is your snarky, snide one, and Valerie's your hot-headed, brash one. I actually like both of these characters. They're very cool. I like them. They've also got some decent voice acting, which the rest of the game really can't say. Actually, if you've played Second Opinion, you'll notice that there is actually voice acting this time. Second Opinion didn't have voice acting, so while I'm glad that they attempted to put it in, they really didn't get it down right until Trauma Team. Anyway, this operation, every operation you do is preceded by an operation, a briefing. Sorry, I'm bad at talking, don't you know? Anyway, the operation briefing pretty much gives you a general idea of what you're going to be doing in each operation. In this case, it's just basic first aid. You know, the guy picked a fight with a bear and lost, of course, so, yeah. Anyway, here you can pick your doctor. Each one has different stats on the bottom right there, but it doesn't really matter. Anyway, in the first few missions, it doesn't matter which doctor you pick, but I always choose Marcus, for reasons that we'll see later on. Anyway, new to Trauma Center as well for New Blood is actually co-op play, which I don't get the chance to show because I have no friends. Anyway, here we've got the Syringe, which allows you to raise your vitals. Your vitals is that bar on the top right corner. If that number reaches 0, the patient dies and you lose and you gotta start all over. Here we've got the sutures, which you use for stitching up large cuts. You tend to use the syringe a lot because, you know, your vitals go down pretty fast and you need to keep them up, and you use the suture a decent amount because cuts are a relatively common thing you'll need to cure. Anyway, the green stuff that you see me throwing around is the Antibiotic Gel, which is pretty much your cure-all for the game. I mean, there's nothing in the real world that works like that. But you put that over small cuts, you use that to disinfect things. It's pretty much an all-purpose sort of thing that you'll end up using quite a bit. You saw earlier the Scalpel, which I used to cut into the patient there. The Scalpel is actually something that you use actually relatively infrequently, because, you know, there's not a lot of cases where you need a cut, but where there is, you use it. We've also got the Forceps here, which you use to pick up and pull things. The Forceps are actually interesting in that they're the only surgical tool in the game that requires you to use both the A and B buttons. In most of the other ones, you can use either the A or B button. Here, when we were at the first section of this operation, it was just sort of simple stuff, you know, suture the cuts, antibiotic gel, stuff like that. Here, you've got to pick all of the bone fragments out of the skin, use the forceps, pull them out, then put them on the tray, and then you got to put them back in like a jigsaw puzzle. It's a relatively simple puzzle, but, you know, it's a lot more satisfying than the first operation in Second Opinion. I don't like how much the first few operations in this game hold your hand, seeing as they gave you tutorial levels anyway, but I guess it can't be helped since people will end up skipping tutorials, so, what you gonna do? Anyway, after each operation, you are graded, and my gradings for this playthrough were kind of bad. I didn't manage to get a single S, which is the highest you can get on normal. I got mostly C's, only a few A's and B's. So yeah, my rankings aren't really good this run, and I apologize about that, but you know, it's the Let's Play curse. Anyway, the rankings, they don't really matter in the long run, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, yeah. Marcus is kind of a dick, but I like that. One of the problem that Second Opinion had is that the tone was way too serious. New Blood does a better job at keeping the tone light, even though, you know, there's serious medical drama going on all over the place.
I'll be at Lucky's, enjoying some grilled salmon.
Because, you know, watching your patients isn't like an important part of being a doctor or anything, you know? Anyway, this is Dr. Hoover, who is relatively unimportant, so you can pretty much just ignore him for the time being. Seriously, he does like maybe one thing that impacts the plot, and that's about it. He's supposed to be our sort of mentor-type figure, but he doesn't really do any mentor-type things, so he's there, I guess? I can't tell ya. Anyway, as much as I'm gonna make fun of this game, I do really like it, and most of my jokes are in jest.
Sister, I'm doing well, thank you. Seems like it's finally starting to warm up. Oh, don't be fooled, dear.
Because as you all know, all nuns have to be Irish. Because nobody else in the world is Catholic, don't you know? So, anyway, this is actually a plot point for later, believe it or not. Not a huge one, but believe it or not. Remember that Valerie is Catholic, or at least grew up Catholic, so believe it or not, that does end up being a plot point. Not until very late in the game, but, whatever.
Oh, thank you. But I've been okay lately. I've been meaning to attend Sunday service, though.
Because, as we all know, nobody ever goes to church. Seriously, like half of the in real life people I know who are super religious don't go to church. Kind of odd, but, whatever.
Hey, Doc, Am I gonna be okay?
Why wouldn't you be?
Well, if I had the cash, I would have gone to a real hospital. But I don't, so I'm stuck here.
Well, it's either being stuck here or being thrown on the street without medical care. Take your pick, Dick. Because we've totally heard of that place before, you know?
Oh, really? Because everyone around town says that this is where all the rejects get dumped.
Yeah, I mean, like, earlier I heard about this guy who was fighting a bear, and I'm like, who the fuck fights with a bear? That guy must have gone to an idiot hospital because he was such an idiot.
I mean, it doesn't matter now, because...
And he's talking about the actual Montgomery, who is also relatively unimportant to the plot, so you can pretty much just ignore him. Anyway, this patient is a dick. I mean, seriously, you don't want to, it's like, the last thing you want to do to talk about your doctors who are trying to save your life is, yeah, you're not going to save my life. Yeah, that's just kind of a dick move. That's like saying, yeah, you know what, lifeguard? I don't think you could save my life if a shark were going to eat me. So, yeah, I'm going to go piss off this shark.
Dr. Vaughn, are you there?
No, I'm in the other
I
room.
have an operation to prepare for, so...
Well, I wanted to speak with you about that matter I mentioned earlier.
Perfect timing. I was just looking over those documents you gave me. I'm sorry, but I can't agree to this.
Because... Oh yeah, he was asking that for me.
How would you function without us?
Oh, that sounds like a bullshit excuse. Bullshit excuse. 2 doctors does not make a hospital, Marcus. I've got to say, there's got to be at least someone else with talent there.
So perhaps you should consult with Valerie before you make up your mind.
Because both him and Valerie need to go? What? Logic. Dr. Hoover and Marcus, you do not has the logic.
I have an operation to perform.
So anyway, this operation is actually going to be introducing us to one of the most common procedures you're going to be doing in the game. Tumors! Because, as we all know, if you're sick, it's always a tumor. It's not a tumor. Okay, there, I got the reference out of the way fast. Anyway, yeah, we're going to be excising some tumors, so yeah, pretty basic stuff. This is more tutorial sort of thing, because tumors actually got a lot more presence in New Blood than in Second Opinion. In Second Opinion, after like the first chapter or 2, tumors pretty much disappeared from the game entirely. In New Blood, they're sprinkled around a lot more, so yeah, you'll be seeing the tumor operation. Well, not the tumor operation, but you'll be seeing tumors throughout other operations throughout the game, so you better be good at doing the PAL procedure. Anyway, another thing I forgot to mention, this game, awesome soundtrack. Not my favorite Trauma Center soundtrack, but it's still an awesome soundtrack. Anyway, these are small tumors, which, you can just zap with the laser. The laser's just sort of a point and zap sort of thing. You use it more in the later game, but it actually becomes one of the most important tools in the later game. But, for now, it's sort of, situational. Anyway, you use the ultrasound to find the tumors hidden under the skin. The ultrasound, it allows you to pan through this, through the area, as well as see things hidden. Once you find a tumor, you need to use the scalpel to excise it. After that, you use the pump, which will suck all of the stuff out of the tumor. After that, you use the scalpel again to cut the tumor out. You follow the dotted line there. Then you use the forceps to put the tumor onto the tray, and then you use the forceps to also put the little pad thing onto the wound. And then you use the gel to put the wound, to make the little pad thing go away. A little speedrunning tip I like to do is, before I put gel on the pad, I use the laser to burn the small tumor wounds, because if you do that, because you have to use gel to cure the small tumor wounds, because if you burn them with the laser, it will leave a little thing behind. So I like to use gel on all of those at once, and it works out pretty well for me. But sometimes the small tumor wounds will bleed a lot, which will make the pad fall off, which kind of sucks. But most of the time, it's a pretty good speedrunning tip. I'm not exactly sure what the best method to go about getting a high score in this game is. I've never been good at that sort of thing, but I'll just show you the best methods I like to use to get through each operations, because even on the normal difficulty, this game can get pretty damn hard. Don't feel bad about jumping down to easy for an operation or two if you just get stuck. You know, that's why it's there. If there's one thing I hate about the original Under the Knife, it's that there's no difficulty select option.
For me, there will.
Daw. Marcus is so sentimental. Anyway, next time we are going to be doing more fun shenanigans in the wonderful world of Alaska and meeting a new friend. I'm ExandShadow, and I'll see you guys later.